Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back, everybody.
If you hear what sounds like a
Galloping antelope. Yes,
But-
galloping antelope.
I was going to say Santa's reindeers coming through the living room.
That too. Yes.
It's just the kids.
Yep.
So, this is a favorite quote of perhaps many politicians in the world. Never let a good crisis go to waste. You never let a serious crisis go to waste. And what he means by that, it's an opportunity to do things that you couldn't do before. Absolutely. Before we keep going with that in mind, I just wanted to show you guys space weather, and we've had a minor geomagnetic storm. You see the KP right here at 5 and here at 6. So it's been interesting, and many of you might have felt this. You might have felt, with Cindy, when we have these storms, she gets headaches now, and she just feels a little bit off. Some of you might feel a little foggy, a little blurry.
I know many people get really dizzy. I used to get super dizzy, but I think something shifted in me, so I'm a little more stable. But yeah, I mean, this can be a very difficult time for evolution. So just keep yourself calm, take good care of yourself, and rest as much as possible.
And so we're not going to go in depth into the WAR because that will be demonized, and we're going to keep this one clean, so to speak, and just really touch on one aspect of what's going on. The fact that right now you have 2.8 million people that entered neighboring countries, right, from where the conflict is. These people have lost their homes, and now they are migrants. And we've spoken about the migrant crises that have happened around the globe. Look to Syria, look to Afghanistan, look to Iraq. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's a never-ending war going on in Yemen. There's so many different wars around the planet that most people are probably not even aware of a small fraction of them. And all of them, they do tend to create migrants. They create, people that have lost their homes and they're just fleeing for their lives. And this is horrible. And we want to send our prayers and, wishes out there for the migrants. But again, when we look at it in a political aspect, it's a crisis that may form an opportunity, and perhaps this is all part of the original intention, to create new laws. And we've seen this constantly. Now, this is from Ireland, and a good chunk of my ancestry comes from Ireland, and my family comes from County Clare, Ennis, and on my mom's side. And here you see, this is the 39th Amendment to the Constitution, and it's under the Right to Housing, Bill 2020. The state in particular recognizes the common good, as including the right to secure affordable, dignified housing appropriate to need for all residents of Ireland, and shall guarantee this right through laws, policies, and prioritization of resources. Well, on the surface, that sounds okay, right? I mean, sort of. Everybody should have affordable, dignified housing, right? According to your needs. Well, that does sound a little bit big brotherish in some ways. Who's going to determine what your needs are? Exactly. All residents shall guarantee this right through its laws, policies, and prioritization of resources. But then when you look at the next paragraph, the state accordingly shall delimit the right to private property where it is necessary to ensure the common good and to vindicate the said right to housing for all residents of Ireland. Delimit private property? In other words, are you saying, again, that they could take private property from one and use it for somebody else? Because it's not going to be, say, a massive estate of some lord or lady, quote unquote, and to even think that we still have even those titles in this world, in this age, is really, in my mind, an atrocity, and is something that just shouldn't be.
No, I mean, I do believe that harmony is a very good thing, and I think anyone who is lording their belief system or what they want to see happen over anyone else, I find that to be an imbalance. I mean, we all have a certain amount of imbalance, but that's where we assist each other in finding harmony. So what works for one person might not work for the other, but be in a space where you are allowing information to follow through you or to go through you, so that you might at least be a vessel for information and a vessel for harmony. So no, not everyone's going to get along, but I believe there is something called balance, and that's what we can create when we work together. But it seems like these entities, they're not working with us, they're working on a separate level.
It's part of that bigger plan. And, again, we've talked about here in the US of A, in times of national crisis, they could take your property. This is in law. This is in law right now. So if we did end up having the war expand and it became a global war, it's a time of crisis. If we have another plague upon the land, something that breaks out from perhaps where this conflict has been with all those question mark labs, that's another crisis. That's something that could trigger this. There's so many things that could trigger this. When, again, and they did it again, they do it all the time, you'll see Congress all of a sudden put out a 3,000-page bill. Oh, by the way, you got to vote on it today. Who's going to read 3,000 pages in a day? They know that nobody is. None of the lawmakers are. Who wrote that? And again, it's the ones that tend to be there for 20, 30, 40 years, the ones that have been there forever. They are the entrenchment. They feel they are entitled to write the laws. And again, they don't write them for the people. They write them for themselves. Again, this is haves and have-nots. So, whose houses are going to be taken in order to house other people? Will it be, for the, people of the Ukraine that are going through this? Will it be for people, maybe in Poland, if something happens there next, or Moldavia, or Lithuania, or any of these other countries if things start spreading? This is, again, a means to an end, because it's not going to be, the crown lands, so to speak. So the housing crisis in Ireland, factor fiction, and we're just glancing because, again, the cheapest rent, it shows that at the time of this, what this article was written, that there was only 457 houses to rent, and the cheapest start at $1,297 a month for a one-bedroom. Again, we've seen this happen. We know that there's these companies that are buying up houses, buying up properties in droves, and they are fixing them up and they are renting them. And we were gratefully able to secure our property, and we have a very affordable mortgage, and we're grateful for that, because if we had to rent this property, we would pay 3 to 4 times what we're paying in a mortgage. Now, this is exactly it. That means there's a ton of profits to be realized. This gets us thinking about, again, the Global Economic Forum, the World Economic Forum, and, that big reset, that great reset quote, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And, have all the links for you guys. Again, it's not that Klaus Schwab or his disciples, say Macron, Trudeau, Newsom, Tulsi Gabbard, we could go on and on. Yeah, people like Zuckerberg, he's a disciple. They're going to own stuff, not the rest of us.
Right. They're going to claim themselves to be worthy of actually owning something. And the world I want to live in, and the world I want to visualize, is something where we have respect for that in which keeps us sustained. We have respect for the mother that nourishes. And I don't think there should be really any owning. I don't feel I was the one who created such a situation where you create haves and have-nots. It should just be all about the harmony at some point.
It's just the fact that what's good for the goose is not good for the gander. And basically, yes. Did many indigenous people, did they actually own anything? No, they didn't view that they owned anything. They viewed that everything was just a gift that was given to them by the mother to be shared and to be used in reverence and to live in a symbiotic relationship with. But the fact is that the controllers and this system, which again goes back to ancient Sumeria, is one in which, yes, they do recognize ownership, but it's not an equality, in ownership based on equality and equal opportunity for all. So Reuters, here's a fact check. The World Economic Forum does not have a stated goal to have people own nothing by 2030. Yeah, a video repeating misinformation about the World Economic Forum has been shared widely on Facebook. Russell Brand talked about it as well. Many have talked about it. We've done videos on this. And so, Reuters did a fact check for you. Thank you, Reuters. When you look into who Reuters is, it's actually a very old company. It goes back to like 1850s. However, when you follow all the transactions, yes, the Thomas Reuters company, here you see it back in 2018, it was divesting its financial and risk unit to private U.S. equity firm, the Blackstone Group. And when you start looking into all these companies and, who really owns them, and you have Woodbridge Company Limited, Canadian private holding company based in Toronto, Ontario, prime investment vehicle for members of the family of the late Roy Thomson, the first Baron Thomson of Fleet. Baron Thomson of Fleet, what's this? Oh, okay. Baron Thomson of Fleet of Northbridge, City of Edinburgh, title in the peerage of the UK. It was created for Roy Thomson. And this newspaper magazine, again, these are titles. These are like barons, ladies, lords. It still speaks of aristocracy and peasants. It speaks totally of this class of elite, and then the rest of humanity that is nothing but serfs or slaves. And when you look into these companies, the big ones are all tied together. Like if you look into the ownership of Blackstone, you see a lot of the same companies come up, like Vanguard and BlackRock, now Morgan Stanley, again, JP Morgan Chase. This is all the same groups, the same families, Vanguard and BlackRock, again, buying up properties. They're going to own all the properties between natural, quote unquote, augmented disasters, between wars, between migrant crisis. They're going to always have people just in a state of constant flux, new laws constantly coming in, and they're going to constantly gobble up properties and things until they control everything and we own nothing. Again, look to these companies and look to the big share holders in these companies. They're all tied together. It's the same people, and they control. There's only 6 media outlets when you get down to it. These are all tied together. So when we see things again, like what's going on with the war, it's double pronged. It's going to create, again, a crisis that they will not let go to waste, controlling, again, companies that we've seen with these GMO seeds. So many farmers are told what they could plant. They can't make their own decisions. They're told what they can plant. And, in recent times, for a very long time, in many cases, farmers are paid not to plant anything. And this is exactly what Ice Age Farmer and our good friend David Devine, ADAPT 2030, have been speaking about. Russia may ban wheat, rye, barley, and corn exports. Yeah, this could go on. This is, again, part of the big separation. Again, divide and conquer, control everything. Control the food, you control people. Control, the housing, they have to look to you. Again, it's ladies and lords, and it's everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think at this point, it's about us having an understanding of our shortcomings and allowing others to have their shortcomings, but coming together for a common goal, coming together so that we might not be controlled in another way. But that's what they want to do. They want to control. I mean, what are you going to do if you already have all the money in the world? You know, it doesn't get you any further than having a lot of money. Well, you can go after the food because that's more valuable.
Yeah, and when people are starving, they will agree to almost anything. The beginning of the end of the road to serfdom in this article from Zero Hedge. You know, this is exactly it. The temple of failed religion, the Federal Reserve. And again, what's federal mean? Well, you think it means totally under the control of the government. No, it's the banks. Who makes up the Federal Reserve? Bank of America, Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan. That's the Fed. It's the private banks. Hello. Where does your taxes go? It goes through them. And then they lend it back out to other countries. They make interest both ways around. This is the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. And really, it's nothing but exploitation and extortion. And so I think that's a good note to just leave it on. Just wanted to bring that to your attention by itself. And we want to thank you for your support over on Patreon and on Ko-Fi. Because it gets tougher all the time. If you need to make an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. And do check out Medicinal Foods. Good people, good products, help you detox, help you boost your immune system. Definitely need that. Because again, if the world is full of people that are all basically immunocompromised, that's a whole bunch of income for certain industries. This is how the world works. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.